Something was wrong with the stars. From his tiny cell buried under the alien prison's deepest level, the boy with glowing blue veins opened his eyes. For years he hadn't moved. No one knew if he was alive or just another failed experiment. They called him Blue, not a name but a warning. Outside his cell, guards whispered stories. Some said he was a ghost. Others believed he was a weapon built by humans before the Great Collapse. But no one dared enter his cell. Not even the machines. Then, on the 9,000th rotation of the prison's orbit, the alarms stopped. Lights went dark. Doors opened without command. All systems flatlined for exactly 1 minute. In that silence, a figure walked out of cell. 13, barefoot, calm, eyes glowing like dying stars. The guards who saw him tried to shoot, but their weapons froze. Time slowed. And Blue looked at them not with fear, but like someone remembering a nightmare. He didn't know who he was, but something inside him had finally awakened. And it was hungry. The surveillance room went quiet, too quiet. Officer Drex leaned forward, staring at the screen showing cell 13. It was empty. That wasn't possible. No one had ever opened that cell, not in 27 years, not even to clean it. The cameras always glitched when they tried. But now, the door was wide open. He tapped the screen. It flickered, then froze. A guard's voice came through the intercom, whispering in panic. He's out. He's walking like he knows where to go. In the lower halls, the prisoner known only as Blue walked slowly, barefoot, silent. He didn't speak. He didn't look around. But every light flickered as he passed. Every machine stopped working. He wasn't running. He was moving like he'd done this before. Like his body remembered a path even his mind had forgotten. A door slammed shut behind him without him touching it. Suddenly, he stopped. His hand touched the cold wall. And alien symbols glowed under his skin, spreading like fire across the surface. He didn't know his name. Didn't know the world. But the world had just remembered him. The high-security alert echoed across the prison, but it was already too late. Blue had reached the command level. Guards in exo armor blocked the hallway, weapons aimed, safety locks off. These weren't rookies. They were elite mercenaries trained to kill anything. But their hands shook. Not because of fear, but because the walls around them were humming, breathing. Blue stepped into view. He didn't run. He didn't attack. He just stood there, eyes glowing faintly, his veins pulsing with soft blue light. One of the guards yelled, "Fire!" Nothing happened. Their rifles jammed, their suits sparked. One by one, they dropped to their knees, unable to breathe, like the air itself had changed. Blue walked past them, untouched. In the control room. Above, a captured human watched everything through the glass. An old man, forgotten by time, chained for years. His voice cracked as he whispered, "It can't be. They said he was never finished, never activated." Blue paused and looked up at him. The old man gasped, "You're the final one. The last answer humanity ever made." Grask of the Tharn Dominion had never been afraid of humans until now. Deep in the galactic core, the emergency beacon from Sector 9 played on repeat. No visuals. Just one phrase in broken code, Project Blue active. That name hadn't been spoken in decades. It was supposed to be buried, erased from all records after the token human experiments were shut down. Grask slammed his fist. On the table. Send hunters. Now. Meanwhile, back in the prison ruins, Blue stood in front of a dead terminal. It sparked as he touched it, coming to life without power. Symbols and languages he couldn't read began scrolling across the screen, yet his mind understood them. Something was waking inside him. Something written not in words, but in design, a system hidden deep in his bones. Sirens roared again as the ship's exterior trembled. Outside, 3 alien hunter ships descended, their hulls marked with the same black symbol used for death-level targets. One of the guards whispered in terror. They didn't come to capture him. They came to erase him. Blue opened his eyes. He didn't plan to run. She wasn't supposed to be there. Callan had slipped onto the rescue ship disguised as a technician. She wasn't part of the military. She wasn't a soldier. She was a former resistance scientist, one of the last people who had studied the token human program before it was erased. And now, she was staring at the impossible. Blue, alive, awake, walking. She found him standing alone in the ruins of the prison's power core. No guards, no hunters. Just scorched metal and silence. His back was to her, but somehow, he knew. She was there. "You remember me?" she asked quietly. Blue didn't answer. She stepped closer. "Your real name was never recorded, but we called you the final one. You weren't just a weapon. You were hope. The last thing we built before. The council ordered us to disappear." He finally turned, his glowing eyes scanning her face. For a moment, something like recognition flickered across his expression. Then the floor shook violently. Callan turned toward the sound 3 more hunter ships approaching fast. "They found us," she whispered. Blue's voice was calm. "Let them come." Inside the broken remains of the prison lab, Callan connected an old neural link to Blue's spine. It was dangerous, possibly fatal, but it was the only way to unlock what he truly was. As the interface activated, Blue's body went still. His eyes rolled back. Data poured through him, images, voices, memories that weren't his, but felt like home. He saw scientists in ruined bunkers, cities burning, Earth's final engineers carving code into living cells. They didn't build him as a soldier. They built him as a virus, a living key. His body held something more dangerous than any weapon, a system designed to break alien control networks from the inside. Callan watched the screen flood with human code. "This isn't just tech," she whispered. "It's a message to every enslaved mind in the galaxy." Suddenly, the screen flashed red. The council had traced the activation signal. Outside, ships were already descending. Inside, Blue stood up slowly. He didn't look afraid. Callan stared at him. "If we upload it, we start a galactic rebellion," Blue answered quietly. "Then it's time the galaxy remembered Earth." Callan's scream echoed through the dark as the ship exploded. The council had moved faster than expected. They didn't want Blue captured. They wanted him isolated and her erased. Callan had survived barely, trapped inside a burning facility. She watched from behind a force field as Blue fought through waves of enemy drones. But then, the air changed. Another figure stepped into the room. He looked exactly like Blue, same face, same glowing veins, but his eyes were cold, controlled, programmed. The council had made a clone, not a savior, a weapon designed to erase the original. Blue turned, facing his copy. Neither of them spoke. They just stared, like mirrors frozen in time. Then they attacked. The walls cracked. Gravity twisted. The power grid failed. Callan pounded the glass, screaming for them to stop, but they were locked in a battle beyond anything human. And slowly, painfully, Blue began to lose. This wasn't just a fight of strength. The clone had knowledge codes and tactics Blue didn't remember yet. Callan cried out, "He's not just you. He's everything they wanted you to be." And he was winning. Smoke filled the shattered chamber. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Blue lay crushed beneath debris, his breath shallow, his body barely holding together. Across from him, the clone stepped forward, silent, unstoppable, cold. Callan broke through the glass barrier, stumbling to Blue's side. "You can't fight him physically," she gasped. "He's you." But built without fear, without mercy. Blue's eyes opened weakly. "Then I won't fight him like that." He stood, slowly, painfully, and turned to face the clone. But This time, he didn't raise his fists. Instead, he spoke. You don't have to follow them. You feel it, don't you? The voice in your head, it's not yours. The clone hesitated. You were made to destroy me, Blue said. But you're more than their design. You're human too. Even if they never let you believe it. The clone's body twitched. His eyes flickered. For the first time, his hand shook. Then, with a sudden scream, the clone turned running toward the core reactor, ripping out control panels. Kellen gasped. What's he doing? Blue whispered. He's breaking their link. The reactor detonated. The shockwave surged, and the Council's network began to fall. The sky outside the shattered prison glowed with strange colors. Signals pulsed through space, traveling faster than light. Blue stood on the ruined rooftop, staring at the stars as his voice echoed through every planet, every ship, every mind. Enslaved by the Council. This is not a threat. This is a warning. Humanity never died. We only waited. Now we rise. Across the galaxy, systems began to fail. Alien minds once controlled by the Council flickered free. Planets long silenced whispered rebellion. Ships turned their weapons inward. Kellen stood beside Blue, watching as the message spread like wildfire. It's working, she said softly. Blue's eyes shone brighter. This is only the beginning. Far away, on a quiet colony, a small crowd gathered around a hologram showing Blue's symbol, a glowing blue mark. They didn't know who he was, but they felt hope. The war was far from over. But the first spark of freedom had finally been lit. The Galactic Council's leaders trembled in their chambers. Their power was crumbling, their empire falling apart piece by piece. They begged for mercy, sending envoys to Blue's hidden location. But Blue did not answer. Instead, he vanished, leaving behind only a faint blue glow that spread through the stars like a silent promise. On a distant, quiet planet, a small child gazed up at the night sky. The glowing mark flickered above her, bright and steady. She turned to her father and asked, "Who was Blue?" Her father smiled, eyes full of wonder. He wasn't supposed to exist. But he became something greater, the last hope for all of us. The galaxy was changing. The story of humanity had only just begun. And somewhere, in the vast darkness, Blue watched and waited. The final answer had arrived. But the war was far from over.